This is what I've been doing a lot of lately. Let's talk about the high frequency stuff. Usually when you go to high frequency discussions, you'll hear people talk about all the Eastern Bloc countries, the Bulgarians and the Russians, and how they all train 3 times a day and squatted every single day, every week. What they don't tell you is that probably 95% of those people that went into those programs crashed and burned, and their bodies were destroyed, and the only people left standing were the truly genetic elite. So, true? I mean, that's how their philosophies were. We're going to weed out everybody until we have the absolute genetic elite. I have a little different take on what frequency is as it applies to bodybuilding. I believe that I try to keep it at 2 muscle groups maximum if I'm trying to do high frequency. So what I mean by that is, okay, first of all, let me talk about the number. I call high frequency 3 workouts a week. So chest, if you did it like say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I would call that high frequency. The other stuff I would just call it just my normal training. High frequency, you get an extra session. Now, you can't do an extra session on every single body part. You don't have enough time in a day. You'll end up like 95% of the Soviet guys, and you'll probably get beat up and burn out. So how can you do this successfully? I like to do phases with body parts. So like for instance, your chest, I'll do it for 4 weeks. You'll do it 3 times for 4 weeks, your chest and your shoulders, so 2 body parts. 2 body parts max, that's what I want you to get in your head. 2 body parts max. Okay, so then once that's over, after 4 weeks, then maybe I'll come to back. And I'll say, okay, now we're going to do our back for 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6. Back's a little unique. I think back you can do for 6 weeks for most people. There's so many different muscles in your back, so many different angles that you can train from. I think your back can handle a few more weeks of high frequency work. Then say you finish that, and then you go to your legs. So everything else goes back to once a week, but now your legs are getting 3 times a week. So what we're doing is we're creating a little block of time for each body part where you can use high frequency, and the other body parts are kind of taking they're kind of going into maintenance phase. And really I would still put them on the classic structure that we did first, the 4 phases, but I wouldn't even do a pump workout for them. I would just do them once, and whatever you're really focused on is what gets hit 3 times. Now, the hardest part of high frequency training in my mind is pulling back on the intensity some. Because let's say you're training your legs Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can't absolutely destroy them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday like we would do in one of those classic workouts. So you have to dial back the intensity a little. And this is where powerlifters are way ahead of bodybuilders. Powerlifters use these RPE scales, the perceived exertion scales, and basically what they say is if you think you have 1 rep left in the tank, we'll call that a 9. If you want to leave 2 or 3 reps in the tank, we'll call that an 8. Powerlifting has done an awesome job with that. So, but bodybuilders have no concept of that. But you need to apply that for hypertrophy when you're using this high frequency stuff. You can't always train at a 10. You can't go to failure on every single thing you do. You have to pull back a little because, again, you're creating you don't have as much recovery, and you're just trying to create a stimulus.
Do you vary the intensity, or are they all the same? They're all 6?
So, great question. The question is, okay, so in those 3 workouts, let's assume Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The question the Sweet asks is, do you vary the intensity? Now, how many days rest on Monday? Okay, say you train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. When you train Wednesday, how many days rest did you have? You only had 1, right? Tuesday. When you trained Friday, how many days rest did you have? You only had 1. You only had Thursday. When you trained Monday, how many did you have? You had 2.
So you're doing a little more on Friday.
Yes. So on Friday, when you get to 2 days rest, that's when you can turn it up a notch.
Hey, John, could you also extend your week longer than 7 days? Meaning instead of training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then your next week is Monday, starting on Monday again. So maybe you might go, maybe legs or however you want to design it. I mean, there's 1,000 different ways to do it, but maybe your week is 9 days instead of 7 days. Obviously, I think you can factor in somebody who maybe isn't recovering but still needs a higher volume.
That is fantastic. So the question was, Okay, I'm guilty of this myself. I get stuck in this 7-day-a-week mentality just because I've had a corporate job, so everything for years revolved around working for the weekend. But Julia's question was, okay, what if you didn't do a 7-day week? What if you wanted to make it 8 days? You could do that for 2 reasons. You could do it for one, if the person can't recover fast enough, even because some people just don't have good recovery. They just don't. Okay, so you could apply that. You could give them an extra day and you could spread it out over 8 days. The other thing is, what if you have someone who has a really hard time pulling back and they want to train with a little more intensity? Then you could do that as well because you're giving them a little more recovery. The thing you have to realize with high frequency training is we don't have unlimited recovery. We just don't. That's why the other body parts have to take a back seat. You only train them once a week so that whatever you're hitting with high frequency, you can put a lot more effort into that. That's the whole point of doing it. You're trying to improve something. And I love it because you have these really awesome, exciting blocks of 4 or 5 weeks where you're just going crazy on a muscle. And then when it starts to kind of get a little burnout or tired, then you're on to the next muscle group.
I have a question for the application, like how you do this. Is this just a rotating scheme where you're going to pick chest, shoulders, you can pick back, or is it based on like a weakness, like a weak body part?
Yeah, so the way I apply this, the question was, how do you apply this? Is it just all body parts rotate? Is it just, so let's take, for example, someone with really good legs. Okay, I basically have a chest and shoulder block, a leg block, and a back block. So let's say their legs were phenomenal. They didn't need a leg block. So what I would probably do is I would do chest and shoulders, then back, then I would come back to chest and shoulders, and then back, and then chest and shoulders. So I would completely eliminate the block they didn't need.
So it is based on weakness then?
Yeah, see, and that's how I apply it to the bodybuilders I'm working with. Like, let's say a guy has an awesome back. He's never going to do the back phase. He's going to be doing the other phases. So that's how you would customize that for somebody who, had some really strong areas. Make sense?